Hey YouTube, how you guys doing tonight? Kevin here, coming back at you. Alright, so this is that ke100 motor there that was locked up with the Kickstarter. We pulled the clutch off it yesterday. I took the rubber boot that was for the air filter off, and I removed the piston. So tonight we're going to work on separating the case. A couple of tips and tricks and everything else, which I'll get to. What do you call it there? Typically I pressure wash the motor before I even do this. However, I wasn't planning on going as far with this motor. So, what do you call it there? A gentleman on my page said it could possibly be the Kickstarter shaft bearing. So we're gonna check it all out. But that right there was one. So hopefully he's right, and we'll go from there. I don't know what's wrong with this. I haven't had it apart yet. That was his best educated guess on it. So you know, we'll see what we come up with. Okay. So after normally what I would do is I'd show you, like I did in the last video, I'd make a template, but because I'm not sure how long I'll be doing this video for, I actually have another side cover over there. We're going to drop the screws from this one into that one so I don't lose their place. I call that cheating. Alright, so we got an old flywheel here. We're just going to tip that up to hold it up like that. I already went ahead and cracked all the screws loose using a hammer and an impact driver, just to ease up on the allotted amount of time on the video. So I used the impact driver right here. Basically stick it on there, and you whack the end of it with a hammer and loosen it up. Okay, and then you would use a big screwdriver, number 3, to take them all out. But I'm going to cheat once again because it's kind of a lot of screws and it's kind of tedious. So since I already got them out, I figured I'd just zap them out. This side has more screws than the other, so just take them out, drop them where they go, and go from there. Remember, you can't do this without oh, must have missed that one. Yeah, I missed that one. Without breaking them free first. Like I said, a pizza box works good for what I'm doing. If you had a pizza box, you could easily just make a template and go from there. So I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to twist it with one hand and whack it with the other with the hammer. Alright, it's already loose now. Okay. So now we have all the bolts out. It's already drained of its motor oil, which I did last night. I'm not putting this back together tonight. This is part 2 of this video, so we're going to take it. We're going to crack the case. So a couple of things I'm going to tell you what you're going to need. You can't pry on these really bad, and you can't whack the crankshaft with a hammer. So you have to use rubber, and you have to be very careful with the threads. You don't mess up the threads. You got to make sure that the shaft is out. So we're going to check that all out, take that out, and I'll show you how to remove the shaft. I did on one of my other videos, but since we already got this one apart, we'll do it again. Okay, so with the clutch part removed, you're going to take your fingers, pull that down, and kind of slide the shaft out. That's it. That's all there is to pulling out that shaft. Real simple, real easy to do. Okay, so the shifter shaft is out. Typically what I would do is I take off the bolt, the nut right here, and pull this whole thing apart. But I'm hoping I can leave all that together without disturbing it, and put that on there. We're going to have to go ahead and clean up this whole thing, because there's going to be dirt and everything, debris, and we're going to blow it all out when it's all said and done. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is pop off the Kickstarter shaft spring. Only because I don't like stuff coming apart when I'm working on it. Not such a fun thing to have happen to you. Walk out your collar, and then the spring just pops out like that. Done. Okay, so the spring is the Kickstarter. I can actually turn the shaft very easy in there, but that's not what he's talking about. Basically what I'm gathering is where it rotates up in here. So we'll take it apart and take a look and see what we come up with, but you never know. Alright, so the next part is splitting the case. Alright, for this one right here, I'm going to get a old, got an old broken plastic hammer. It's broken on the end there, but I'm just going to use the handle part. I'll put that on the case here. Right here. I'm going to whack the end of it with a hammer and see if I can get a movement on it. Okay. I'm going to rotate it around. Alright, I moved the case. Do it on the intake side. On this side right here. Okay. Alright, so what I did was I took the handle of the hammer, I put it here, I whacked it once, I put it here, I whacked it once, I put it here and whacked it once, and I put it here and whacked it once. Okay, and now I end up with a split case. Okay, the case is coming apart. Alright, so you can't really pry in between here because these are precision machined surfaces. There's no gasket. So how do you pry them apart without, you know, hurting that? Well, right in this region right here, there's nothing in it. It's just an open cavity. So you are okay to gently pry right in here. Okay. What I do is I don't hammer on, but I use the end of the handle, and I just tap in a little bit, give it a little bit of a case. I'm gently tapping on the crank, gently. I'm not even giving enough to shock it, really. I'm just seeing if there's any movement. Okay, so then that part's fine. We're going to move up to the back part. I'll grab something else. Hold on one second. Once again, the problem is there's no real place to do it from. So up in the back, up on the back of the engine, right up in here, where the two motor mounts are, is also another place. Can't go in between here because these are all oil surfaces. So you kind of have to, you know, milk it a little bit like that. I'm just gently tapping. I'm not brutally pounding on this thing. I see a lot of people who brutally pound on them. And that's not a good thing to do. All right, so got that part coming out there. Shaft, nothing's still turning. Tap on the opposite side shaft. Okay, no, it's fine there. Crankshaft the same. Alright. It's really what it comes down to is finessing it. You're going to get a sweet spot on it, and that could just absolutely pop it apart. Best thing to do is take your time. Don't be in a hurry, and don't force it. Alright, it's coming. It's coming apart. I'm going to show you right here how I got it so far. See how it's split? Right up in there. Like I said, you don't want to pry on any of the oil surfaces. Right here is okay in the very front and up in the back. Okay, other than that, there's really no place to really tap it from. So, alright, I'm going to do it again. It's nerve-wracking because you don't want to ruin the case, you know. But typically where it gets stuck is on the crank bearing, which is actually coming out. So, I'm okay with that. Alright, that shaft is coming out too. Right in there. Okay. It's tight in the front, not so much in the back. Okay. See how we're doing. We're actually almost out. Okay. Tap that bearing back in. To shift the output shaft. Tap it on that. Okay. Now I'm just walking it in back by hand, apart, because the case is already split. There we go. Alright. So, we are now in two pieces. We have the crankshaft bearing right here. Taking a look at this side right here. Here's your inner bearing. That feels nice. Doesn't look all milled out in there. Little bearing right there for that shaft. And everything on this side looks good. So, there's your brass bushing. Your regular roller bearing, which is good. The holes don't look all, you know, they got oil in them, but that's pretty much normal. Okay, so we got that part done. Let's go over to this side. That's the Kickstarter shaft. And that all looks good. So on the Kickstarter, something is binding up. So we're going to find out, we're going to get to the bottom of that. And now it's moving. Only goes so far though. That doesn't make any sense. Can't move that at all in that position. So something is not right. Something in the transmission is definitely not right. So we pull the pin for the fork, shift fork. Could inspect and see if we have any broken or bent teeth. We don't. These right here, this is your shifting fork. And typically what happens if you have pressure on the your shifter when you're going, it'll wear these out and there's no wear on them. This one's nice and tight. Same thing with this one, we'll check it. It's not bent. This one's not bent either. Alright. Pulling it apart. Everything seems to be moving normally. That's craziness. I don't see any issues with this thing right now. That bearing feels good. Even the shifting drum feels good. So we got to do some research and find out what actually happens with this thing, because when it is together, it is definitely not good. Bearing and shafts all look good. All the gears are moving just fine. They interlock all right. See any interruption with that? And this is the one I couldn't move before, shaft wise, you know. Really weird. Okay. That gear moves fine. And those all move fine. Huh. Gonna have to go into that a little bit further. So. And there's the bind right there. So something's not sitting in all the way. Okay. I wonder if the drum went full circle. I mean, because it's obviously into gears it shouldn't be into. So. Huh. It's warped. Right there. There's a gap here. That's a bent shaft. Hold on. Maybe not. Never seen anything such like that. Alright, so I'm going to have to research and find out what actually happened with that. It feels like, or looks like, this shaft is actually bent. But I can't imagine anything in my wildest dreams that would cause that shaft to bend. Pull it back apart. Now, let me just swap these real quick. Real quick. Just trying to think. So I'm so quiet at the moment. This just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, there's a gap on that back one. Let me try spinning it this way. Yeah, it just binds up. I think what I'm going to do is grab one of my other transmissions tomorrow night. We're going to switch out the transmissions and we're going to see if that shaft is bent. It feels, and when I'm turning it, this sprocket right here, this not sprocket, but this gear, there's the bottom one, that big fat one right there, which is staying flat, and then the one above it's like this. So when it turns, it kind of like oblongs, and it's almost like the shaft is bent. Which I've never seen before. So man, I tell you, this thing gets tight. It gets tight. Yeah, there's something wrong with this shaft. Hands are hard to pull this out because my hands are all oily now. Okay, let's pull that out like that. Really can't see it too well like this at this angle, but this is not sitting level with that. Yeah, this shaft is bent. I don't know what they did. Yeah, this bike right here, you can see the dog is close here. It's got a gap on that one. This shaft is bent. I can't imagine what they did to it. But whatever they did, they really pounded the heck out of it. Because this is a good motor. There's nothing wrong with the motor. The motor was beautiful. Turned over, had excellent compression, but I couldn't kick it over. And this shaft is bent. I never seen a shaft bend. This shaft is bent. I don't know how on God's green earth that happened. I've never seen a transmission with a bent shaft. Now I have. That's why I do this channel, people, because you saw it first right in front of you. This shaft is definitely bent. Bent right here. And it's causing it, when it turns halfway, is when it gets into that bind, the oblong part, and then it tries to grab another tooth on another gear. And then it locks itself up. That is why, when I pulled on the Kickstarter, it was actually forcing it to bind. So that is our problem. The issue: bent shaft. Fix, replace it. So I have another transmission from another one that we scrapped the other day. Actually, the one I'm using on the side cover. We're gonna put that transmission in here, and this will be a good motor. I mean, it's all in good shape. Crankshaft is in excellent shape. Everything is in good condition on it. So it's even got the spot for a tachometer. There's a worm gear that goes in there. There's a sprocket, a gear that goes in the back, and you can put a tachometer on it. Man, that's really sad that happened. That's abuse. That's just dropping it into the gear like there's no tomorrow. You can see up top here too, where I was showing you guys before in that filter. There's a filter right up in here where it comes up, the breather. Man, that's just really bad. Kind of stinks, you know. But at least we found out what the problem is. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. This is part 2 on the what do you call it there? Teardown. We found the problem with the bike. It's got a bent transmission shaft. So they really just hammered the heck out of it. And as a precaution, I'm not even going to keep this end of it because I'm not taking no chance. I'm taking this whole thing out too. I'll replace both sides of it. The bearings are all good. Everything turned around nicely. Nice and smooth. There's no dirt or debris in there. So I'm going to throw it back together with that Kickstarter. And we're just going to replace all those components. Get this thing to turn back over. Inspect the clutch. And we're good to go. So, and I'll show you guys how to reassemble this case. And how to properly put it back together. And luckily for us, we didn't pry on any gasket surfaces. So that actually helped us out quite a bit, because there is no, what do you call it there? There is no, oh, I can't think of the name of it. There's no gasket. So it's all nice and clean. We're going to clean it up, make sure it's oil free, and what do you call it there? We'll go from there. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe if you have any questions or comments. And then tomorrow night we're going to replace the transmission, reassemble the case, and see if we can get this thing to turn over with the Kickstarter without having any issues. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.